but the evil that men do lives on. We're gonna bang your head!
You are now listening to Music Mania, the #1 hard rock podcast in the Midwest, featuring hard-hitting interviews with rock's living legends. And now, here are your hosts, the twins of chaos, Clint, Switzer, and Paul Lagana.
Well, I tell you what, Joey, let's go ahead and welcome you to the Music Mania podcast. You're a very special guest this week. How is everything going out there in sunny California, my man?
Dude, it's sunny and 75 degrees. It's just about perfect. Outside of the 35 million people in California, it's great.
Well, I mean, as a stark contrast to living here in the Midwest, here in Kansas City, where it's like 50 degrees today, it's cloudy, but we don't have the population, so it kind of evens out. No matter where you go, it all evens out somewhere.
Are you in Kansas or Missouri?
On the Missouri side, which is very important. A very important distinction because Warrant has actually shot not one, but two music videos here in Kansas City. How about that for trivia?
Love Kansas City, brother.
You guys did Warrant. You guys did Heaven here back in the early 90s, and then I think you just did the video for I Think I'll Stay Here and Drink here at PBR Big Sky here not long ago.
We need to do one more and make it a trifecta, don't you think?
Exactly, and you guys will be back here in the area June 16th in St. Joe, Missouri at this very cool venue here called Amnesia in St. Joe. It's going to be awesome. We're going to come up and check you guys out for that. But my gosh, a lot going on for Warrant. New album is out. The new album is Louder, Harder, Faster. It's a great album. Joey, just go take us through the process. This album has been a big hit for you guys. It came out May 12th. What's the reception been like? What have you been hearing as far as the fan perception of this new one, man?
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to reviews or I've got friends that listen to my music every once in a while when I twist their arm, and from most of my buddies that have been texting me and hitting me, I get a congratulations, which I guess is a good thing. From our perspective, it was a two-year, writing process down to the wire, and then finally to get it done, we made a date to go in the studio, pick the producer, so we'd get off our ass and stop, being protagonists. You know what I mean?
Yes, as someone that has been putting things off for years, I can completely relate to this. This is a follow-up to 2011's Rockaholic, which was a great album too. But this one, it just seems a little more focused, maybe even a little more polished. To me, right now, my favorite song on it's actually Devil Dancer. I don't know if you've heard people talking about that one a lot, but I love Devil Dancer, and you've already done a video for the title track. So things are picking up here. This album's getting a lot of good reception. I've heard a lot of good things. I've reviewed it myself. A lot of thumbs up from me, so there's that. Take that to the grave with you. Thank you. But what's Devil Dancer is a song like I said that's really standing out to me. Is that a song that you might look to make a video for? Because I thought the video for Louder, Harder, Faster was a really cool video. Where'd you guys shoot that? It was like out in Vegas, out in Nevada, or somewhere out in California. It was a really cool shoot.
It was shot up in Cave Creek, Arizona, which is a northern suburb of Phoenix. To be honest with you, I can't stand videos. I think videos are a waste of money. I think they're a waste of time. I think they're a waste of marketing dollars. I think that aside from having some fun and trying to keep it humorous, which is what we did with Louder, Harder, Faster, I think that money's better spent on pay-per-clicks and online placement if you really want to get down to the marketing of music. But that being said, kind of seems like, something you can't do without music still for some reason, even though there's very few outlets for it outside of the web. So it is what it is. To me, it's just kind of like we've done dozens of videos, the first record, and it just is like, it's not really a marketing medium anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's interesting. People are listening to music all sorts of ways now. It's really kind of hard to find what the collective pulse of what people are trying to get. People have Spotify and YouTube. There are a lot of people do watch music on YouTube, whether it be a video or just the song that's posted there. So it's music is a very, very different from, say, when I grew up and bought Kiss Alive, on vinyl. It's definitely,
there you go.
It's a little different.
We're probably about the same age. You know what I mean? Because that was one of my first. I actually ripped my sister's first her copy of that off. But it is what it is. So I don't know if we'll do a video tonight if they're on Devil Dancer. Devil Dancer was written on our one and only cruise we did last year. One of those Monsters of Rock cruises that we just were captive for 4 days and we only had 2 shows. So what do you do with the other 8 billion hours? You're just sitting on the ship when all you can do is eat and drink, right?
Yeah.
So we took some studios and Jerry came up with that riff and I went into his room and recorded the guitar for it, the demo, and then we had a buddy out on the road playing or hanging out with us actually. And he came in and did some percussion. We used like a Pellegrino bottle and some chopsticks and for the demo. So that song, and then Robert wrote lyrics, I do believe, later on. But that song, I like that song. I like the guitar tone on that song. The guitar tone on that song's pretty thick.
Yeah, so. And yeah, absolutely it is. And I know you guys are getting ready to pick up touring again, starting I think in June 3rd in Walker, Minnesota. You guys are playing with Sebastian Bach there. Like I said, you're going to be here in the Kansas City area in St. Joseph, Missouri on June 16th. So get ready to pick the touring up back again. You guys got dates all through the summer on into the fall. I know it's going to be good to get out here and play some of these new songs and kind of unveil them out to the masses, man. That's always got to be a good feeling when you got new music coming out. And I think that's great for a band like Warrant. That's a veteran band that has a lot of hits as it is, but to still be moving forward, making new music with a great singer like Robert Mason. And this is going to be just another day in the life for Warrant out there on the road this summer again, once again for you guys. That's got to be a cool feeling.
You know what? The new music's fresh for us, and it's fun to play. It's like anything you do for work. And I mean, we've got a passion for what we do, music, Warrant, so we keep trying to put out new music. It gets harder and harder just because people have a little thing called life gets in the way, families and things like that. But it's a lot of fun. We enjoy it, and we've got right now currently playing 3 new songs in the set. We've always got to pay, respect to the past, which we do very well, and Robert does a great job at that as well. And man, we're just having a good time. We all still get along after all these years. There's no separate dressing rooms, no separate flights, unless we're coming in from different places. So it's a good time for us.
Well, this is, like I said before, you're the 3rd member of the band to join us here on the Music Mania podcast. We've had Robert on. We've had Eric on. We're going to have to get Steven on one of these days. It's just we got to complete this. We got to get all this going. But talk about singer Robert Mason. Just to me, people that aren't familiar with his work, that didn't know his work from Lynch Mob, that aren't aware what he's done in Warrant, it's like I have to sit them down and just tell them what a great singer, what a great frontman this guy is. I mean, to me, one of the best singers in rock today, a great frontman. Just talk about what he brings to the band. He's been in the band since 2008 now. It's hard to believe he's been with you guys so long and done a couple albums now. Just talk about Robert and what he brings to the band.
It's 9 years in September with him. We had the pleasure of being with Jani. I did three records with Jani. When Jani was at the top of his game, he was excellent. He was a great singer. He was a great frontman. He was a great writer for the genre, and it was just a pleasure. When that went south, and I bolted back in like '96. I got back in 2004 with St. James. Jamie, great guy. Did his best. We had a fun making a record, and then we did the reunion thing. So here comes Lane again, and then that went south. Unfortunately, we all wanted more from that. I know he did as well. It just did not work out. Man, the road wasn't a good place for him. So I ran into Robert during that reunion tour at a gig in Rocklahoma or Oklahoma, prior Oklahoma called Rocklahoma.
Yep.
Thoroughly confused now, and just said, "Hey, man, are you interested in singing?" And he said yes. We had known each other for a long time because he was in Lynch Mob when they opened up for us on the Dog Eat Dog tour, and he was on our radar hard from that point forward. We actually auditioned him while we were still playing with Jani and trying to get the reunion going. I don't know if it was really an audition, of more of a jam. Mm-hmm. And we did 5 songs, and that's all it took. I mean, we didn't even have to sit there and beat it up. I mean, we just literally threw a jam together, 5 songs. It was like, okay, you know what I mean? He is probably the most professional singer I've ever played with in my life. Or he is. He takes it seriously. He takes care of his his instrument, which is his voice. He takes care of his body. He's a super smart guy. He's a super nice guy. He respects the past. He was a friend of Jani's. And he loves to make music, and he loves to play music. So, I mean, what else could you want, you know? And he's just narcissistic enough to be a good frontman.
Which you have to have some of that.
And not too narcissistic to be a complete jerk. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. We had the pleasure of waking him up one morning. It was like 10:00 in the morning when we had him on. We called him, and he's like, "I'm just getting my coffee. I'm just waking up." I'm like, "You know what? We would relate. I get it, man. I get you. That's just the rocker lifestyle. He's a great guy, and I think he's wonderful for Warrant. I think he just brings a lot of life and a lot of energy to the songs, and can't wait to see him live performing these new ones. And you talked about Jani Lane, who passed away. You know, it's almost unbelievable. It's almost been 6 years in August of 2011. But I kind of want to get what your mindset was, because you talked about things going south when you guys reunited around, I think it was around 08, and you guys toured in 08 and I think 09 with Jani back in the band. And obviously you talked about things going south. What was it like? Because you had obviously replaced Jani at that point with Robert and trying to, get the band firing again. What was it like for you having him pass away during this time where you guys have kind of gone your separate ways again? Is that something that kind of weighs heavily? Do you think about that? I mean, what was kind of the mindset at the time when that all happened, and how do you kind of think about it these days?
Well, at the time it happened, I'm the one who got the phone call. We were on the road. We were at a band and crew dinner in North Dakota. And I remember exactly where it was, Grand Forks, North Dakota, at like one of those Logan steakhouses or something, And Jeff Blando, who plays with Vince Neil and Slaughter, called me and apologized. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And the news was still, new to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It was horror. I mean, it's horrific. It's like when any friend passes, especially the way he passed. I mean, we all had an idea, because he was told so many countless times by doctors and physicians that you can't drink anymore. Your body just isn't going to handle it. And ultimately, I guess that's what happened. I mean, so at the time, it's horrific, I mean, everybody handles grief differently. We were on the road. I think later they had a memorial at a bar, which we thought was very tasteless. So none of us went. We're like, the guy just died from booze. You're going to go have this at a bar. Great, No, thank you, and it's really nobody's business how anybody grieves loss of somebody that they, that they appreciate or love or anything like that. It's really nobody's business whatsoever, But I can tell you that today, miss the guy's smiles, miss his laughs, miss him when he was well, and just the struggle that he went through. We were all part of it, and every single guy in this band tried to help.
Sure.
The reunion tour, we had a sober coach at $500 a day, followed him around night and day, took all the booze, because we're responsible, drinkers. If we want a beer, we're going to have a beer. We took all the booze off the backstage. We didn't let anybody backstage with booze. It was tight, but he just couldn't handle it, and it was sad. So at one time, we just finally had to make a decision that we didn't want him to pass while we were on tour, and we just said, "Look, enough's enough." And that's where we ended it. Then there was some reconciliation. He wanted to come back at one point, and he just, I don't know how many times you try to make something work, and it's just not healthy.
Sure.
And that's where it was. I reached out to him a few months before he passed, go have lunch with him and just make sure he was all right, and no return call. So, I don't have, the only regret I have is that he actually passed. I mean, that sucks.
Sure.
I felt horrible. It's worse for his two kids. That's what I really feel bad about. But, part of life, part of death.
Yeah.
Life, taxes, and death, right?
Well, yes, especially in rock and roll. We've just, of course, Chris Cornell just passing away. I mean, we every year in 2016 we lost a lot of people. This year has not started off the best. It's just kind of one of those, for me, just kind of looking at it like, man, I mean, one of those realizations that your heroes are not going to be around forever, regardless of how it happens. I mean, it's just kind of a sobering feeling, and it's not very anti-rock and roll, and that's just not, you don't want to look at it that way because you guys are, so important to so many people, and so many people that, that grew up with bands like Warrant and stuff like that. And it's hard for everybody, and as band members, that's got to be a tough thing. But you guys have done so good moving on. I mean, you yourself were out of the band for what was it, 10 years or so, from like 94 to 04 or so, 96 to you were out of the band for several years. You just said, was it because of Dog Eat Dog? The album has become kind of a cult classic among, kind of Sunset Strip era bands, but you said kind of in other interviews that you didn't like the direction the band was going, maybe what became Belly to Belly. You were out of the band for 10 years. What kind of perspective did you gain during the time where you weren't in Warrant?
Well, I got away from music. I went and got Microsoft certified, and I was a database administrator for about 8 years. I mean, my perspective was just survival. It wasn't necessarily the direction of the band more than the direction of the business of the band. I've never really had a problem with the direction of the band, especially when I'm in it, because I play a big part of it when it comes to recording and guitars, and maybe not as much writing, but when you hear tones on the record, guitars, there's a good probability that a lot of it's what I'm doing, and no disrespect to Eric. I mean, Eric and I meld good, but we just both play differently, So it comes down to, self-preservation. So when I split, I needed to do it for myself. It didn't really have as much to do with the band. I've said in past interviews, I wanted to get out of there because this guy was being an asshole or that guy was being an asshole. When I look back at that, too much needed to get away from music. It was toxic to me at the time, and I just needed to do something different, So I went and got educated and got a day gig.
Yeah, and a lot of people did during that time. I mean, it was, of course, grunge had kind of taken over, and it was a different time. A lot of bands kind of went back to day jobs at that time, and it's great that now here we are in 2017, and so many bands are still firing and going strong, man, and from your era. But, you talk about Eric Turner, and he's told us before that you're the better guitarist. He told us that. I'm just saying right now, he said, hey, I'm the rhythm guy, and Joey handles all the lead. That's just kind of that's what Eric said. We can get that out there now. He's told us that in the past. He respects your guitar play. But you guys met in the late 70s. I mean, you guys have known each other a long time, haven't you?
We've known each other since we were 18. Eric and I, two guitars together. Don't misunderstand. The two guitars together are the Warrant sound, guitar-wise. Just because I play one way and he plays another way doesn't make him any worse or better than me, or makes me any better or worse than him. We each know our place, and it's cool. I mean, I support Eric 110%. I wouldn't be in this band without Eric, and it's not a disrespect thing. It's just that if he says I took more lessons than him, that's probably true, but so fucking what? You know what I mean? Excuse the F-bomb. He's still my brother from another mother, and when we play together, that's the sound. I play a different way than he plays, and you can't have the yin without the yang. You know what I mean?
Yep. And
so I have mucho respect for him as a player. Mucho respect for him is one of my best friends. We've known each other a long time. He's a great guy. He's a great family man. Good guitar player. We're just, we're later on in our career having some fun still, so we're digging it.
Hey, it's fun. I mean, this band, and I saw you guys a couple years ago down at the Lake of the Ozarks, a great venue down there. You guys played with Dawkins. The band was awesome. Yeah, great show, and Firehouse opened that. You guys going to be back here in the Kansas City area again. Go to warrantrocks.com to check out all the dates, guys, and order the new album, of course, Louder, Harder, Faster. You talked about meeting Eric Turner in the late 70s. You're going to have to fill in the timeline for me here, because you guys met in the late 70s. You guys met in 1979. You guys were 18 years old. You didn't join Warrant until 1987.
That would be 15. It was like 82 or 83.
Okay.
It wasn't the late 70s. We're not that old.
Well, you know what? That's just my terrible math coming back to haunt me again. So you guys meet in the early 80s, but you still don't join the band until 1987. So there's some time in between there. So kind of how did this all beautiful thing begin, basically?
I was in a band in Orange County, California called Nightmare. A guy named Daryl, I forget his last name, came up and said, my buddy wants to be in your band. I said, who is he? He pointed to Eric. there's Eric with his half-stack Marshall and a Flying V. He weighed about $105, and he came in and we jammed for a while, and then I left that band, go join another band, and when I left that band, Eric split up to L.A. and ended up joining Warrant. And, you know, he kept on hitting me up, come and see my band, come and see my band, come and see my band. I never did, and then I think it was either January or February of '87, after the original singer and drummer left Warrant and Jani and Steven were in the band. Jani wanted a different guitar player, and I lived in Hollywood at the time, and I bumped into Eric across from Gil Turner's on Sunset Doheny, and he said, we're looking for a lead guitar player. And we hadn't seen each other in a few years, and about a month later, I was in the band. That's the short version.
Hey, that's and to think that in just such a short time, I mean, the band had been around for a couple years at that point, but by the time you joined, you guys were basically released Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich, right, in 1988, right after that, and to follow that up with Cherry Pie, that combination, that 1-2 punch of albums was really catapulted you guys to just complete superstardom. Like, how did things change for you guys from kind of this Sunset Strip band that's in the middle of trying to stand out in the middle of a shit ton of bands that are all putting their flyers around the whole strip and just trying to stand out? You guys get these two albums just catapulted you guys. How did things change for you guys around that time when you guys did Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stingin' Rich, and to Cherry Pie, which you wanted to call Uncle Tom's Cabin, by the way, of course, but wound up being Cherry Pie. How did things change for you guys? Because, I mean, that just the stardom came so quick for so many bands, including Warrant.
I think that once you get a recipe like a band, you know, I look at it like 5-piece band. I look at it as like 5 separate, look at your left hand or your right hand, 5 separate fingers, 5 separate fingerprints. You put it together, you got a fist. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's just different personalities, but when you put them all together, you can have something that really means something, you know? And I think that's how the band came together. And then once we got a record deal and it started exploding, it went extremely fast, but we were working, 11 months a year. So it wasn't like we had time to sit down and look back and, wow, look at what's happening. It was just kind of like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Next record, let's go, let's go, let's go. So things were just extremely busy. That's the best way I can tell you. I mean, you don't have time. If you get successful in anything, business, music, whatever you want to call it, don't have time to sit back and think about how successful you're becoming because you're too busy working. You know what I mean?
Certainly.
So it was kind of just that vantage point or perspective of, okay, we're able to work and work a lot. Okay, let's do it. And everybody did it,
Yeah, and that I just it's funny for me because I'm only 33. I grew up with this kind of music, though. I'll never forget the first time I ever heard Cherry Pie, which is a song I want to ask you about because I remember the first time I ever heard it, and it was immediately my favorite song for like 5 years. And that's kind of interesting because I think that happened to a lot of people. Yet Cherry Pie was a song that you guys were kind of almost forced into recording later to go on that album. And you had this album already, Uncle Tom's Cabin, and you have so many great hits off that one. So many great songs on what would become Cherry Pie. But there's always been kind of some contention because it always seemed like Jani Lane sort of did not like that song. Like this song wound up defining the band. Yet you guys get a mega hit out of it. I've always wondered what the mindset is of releasing a song that's kind of a mega hit, but sort of winds up defining the band. What's your thoughts on Cherry Pie and still performing it to this day? Still gets a good reaction, of course.
I think we're blessed to have such a big song. I mean, my perspective and Janie's perspective at the time when it was huge, and he met his first wife during that time, the first love of his life of many. Well,
she was the first love of my life too. To be fair, she was also the first love of my life.
Well, that's all right. God bless you, man. But he was loving it. I mean, he was riding high, so what can you say? I think perspective maybe later on in life, maybe it bugged him because he had such a thick catalog of different type of music, and to be known for pinpointed for one song as a writer and artist probably gets a little frustrating. But from my perspective, having a hit song to play every night or 2 or 3 or 4 hit songs to play every night that people remember and it did something and it means something to them in their lives, it brings them back to a time is a blessing, you know, and I that's the only way to put it from my perspective. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's what carries the day when you've got so many bands from your era that are still out there. You know, you've got these Monsters of Rock cruises where you've got, you know, the Rats and LA Guns and bands like that are still out there, the Slaughters that are still carrying that banner, that are still, you know, performing those songs. And what does that say about that era that you guys can still do that? You guys can show up and play gigs. People are always going to come out and see you guys to hear these songs, and it's not just Cherry Pie. I mean, from Mr. Rainmaker to Down Boys to Sometimes She Cries to Heaven, you guys have a lot of songs. A lot of these bands do. What does that say about that era that you can still go out and play and people come still and see you guys and in droves and big crowds and festivals? I mean, I think that's just says something about that era that will never be replicated, that Sunset Strip 80s era. I just don't think you'll ever see anything like it again.
Yeah, it was the era of access.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not access, but excess. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with a little bit of excess. You know, if you keep it in perspective again, and now we have a good time. There's a lot of bands. We see people out there, Bret Michaels out there, you know, Tom Kiefer out there playing those songs.
Yeah.
And we're fans too. The one thing that people, you know, kind of get away from is that, wow, they're this big band. No, but we're just like you. We're fans of music. We have our favorite bands, and when we play with these guys, we're like side stage listening, going, "This sounds great," you know, and it's the same feeling that everyone else gets when they hear a song that reminds them of a time or of a song that they appreciated when they grew up. It's the same feeling. We're the same people as you. You know, we just happen to be in a band that's had some success. You know, there were many bands that should have had some success but never did, and I think that if you keep that in your mind, then your perspective of where your place is a little more real.
Yeah, and trust me, I have way more positive connotations when I hear a song like Uncle Tom's Cabin than I do, say, Chumbawamba's Tub Thumping from the 90s or something. Hey, it's all about when you hear it, what's going on when you hear it. Songs are so wonderful that way, and that's what makes music great. And guys, Joey, you've been so thankful. You know, we're just so thankful to have had you on. You've been so generous with your time. We're going to catch you here in just a couple weeks here on June 16th here at St. Joe. It's at Amnesia's. That's going to be a huge show, man. We can't wait to see it. It's been a couple years, so we'll have to come say hello and come say hello in person, man. Buy you a beer or something. We'll have to make it happen, my man.
I'll buy you a beer for the support. How's that?
Hey, that would just be unreal, and we will definitely hit you guys up. We'll get a hold of the management. We'll set something up on that. I'll tell you what, Joey, thanks so much for everything you've done. Thanks for keeping everything going. WarrantRocks.com is where you can get all the info, all the tour dates that are coming up all through the summer and on into the fall, and the new album, Louder, Harder, Faster. Great album. Go get it right now, guys. Joey, thanks so much for your time, man. Let's catch up again here in a couple weeks, my man.
Yes, I'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you for the support, and everybody out there that's been a fan of Warrant, past, present, or future. Thank you for the support, and hopefully we'll continue to sing for another few years and have some fun with it.
Hey, rock on, brother. We will catch you in a couple weeks, man. Thanks so much.
All right, peace.
Thank you.